Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Today I will present on our research paper. First of all, my name is Noor Siti Aminah Abd Weheed and my supervisor, Professor Dr. Zainal Bibidin. Our research is about business income tax compliance behavior among sole proprietorships in Penang. Without further ado, I will focus on the abstracts on this research. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the Malaysian government has consistently supported small and medium enterprise (SME) by ensuring that they are resilient and growing. The 2020 budget represents the largest allocations to date that benefits SME, totaling RM 38.7 billion as incentive to SME for sustaining their businesses. Hence, SME have an obligation to support the government by voluntarily and accurately paying their taxes. According to the literature, this group of taxpayers appear to be at a high risk of engaging in tax evasions and believe that paying tax is a burden. Thus, this paper aimed to focus on sole proprietorship, the small-scale sector known to be though when it comes to paying taxes. The objective of this study is to examine the relationship between 5 independent variables: attitude, subjective norm, perceived behavioral control, probability of audits and license taxation, and the dependent variables, intentions to comply. The research framework of this study was developed based on 5 variables and employed the theory of planned behavior, TPP, which was developed by Eisen 1991. The questionnaires were distributed to taxpayers in Penang. A total of 135 samples were collected from taxpayers through simple random sampling techniques. According to the analysis, TPP is relevant to this study because it helped to explain how taxpayers behave to be aware of and obedient to tax. If taxpayers have strong intentions and belief, they will obey the tax. Taxpayer also thinks about the effects of their actions before acting in a particular way. Surprisingly, the findings rule out the validity of audit probability in tax intention behavior. This study contributed to the current literature by adding a new variables of the licensed tax agents to the tax compliance model. Hence, the suggestion for future research is to increase the sample size so that future research can generalize the whole populations and come up with a stronger regression model. Next, on problem statements. Alright, even though the majority of taxpayers are aware of their obligations and some nonetheless will try to avoid or delay paying them, prior studies have also found that self-assessment taxpayers are the most likely to avoid paying taxes since the tax system is mainly focused on self-reporting. Due to their higher chances of flexibility in reporting their income, they tend to do everything required to organize their financial affairs so that they pay the least amount of tax possible. Slamroyd 2019. During the mid-1990s, the issue of tax compliance generated considerable attention among Malaysian researchers. Although this issue was the focus of numerous studies, there was a surprisingly little focus on business taxpayers, especially on sole proprietors and partnership. This type of business taxpayers, known as small and medium enterprise (SME), is a major economic contributor to many countries throughout the world, including Malaysia, Yusuf Wahab Latif Osman Sawawi, and Fazal 2018. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia DOSM 2022, SME made up 98.9% of all businesses and contributed 37.4% to Malaysia 2021 gross domestic product (GDP). From 2015 to 2021, SME, which are a significant players in Malaysia business sectors, contributed over half of the country labor force. The World Bank estimates that 600 million new jobs will be needed by 2030 to cope with the world's rising labor populations. Therefore, the growth of SME is a top priority for many governments around the world. Throughout the coronavirus disease COVID-19 pandemic, the government of Malaysia has consistently supported SME by ensuring that they are resilient and growing. The 2021 budget represented the largest allocations to date that benefit SME, totaling 38.7 billion as incentive to SME for sustaining their business. Hence, SME have an obligation to help the country by voluntarily and accurately settling their tax obligations. SME seems to be a high-risk taxpayer because this group of taxpayers also believe that paying tax was burdensome since it will lower their income, and implementing a new digital tax was not necessary at this time. The Inland Revenue Boards of Malaysia (IRPM) uses a variety of strategies to combat the issue of underreporting income. The tax compliance strategy are further outlined in the IRPM Corporate Plan for 2021 to 2025. To reduce the risk of non-compliance, one of the most useful strategies is to promote voluntary tax compliance. To attain a high degree of voluntary compliance awareness, IRBM must apprehend group taxpayers' tax compliance behavior. As a result, there's a disparity in the intentions for tax compliance measure. The gap is in addition to the theoretical and practical gaps, which should be investigated to determine the causes of non-compliance behavior in assisting tax authority by concentrating on the areas that require immediate attention to raise tax awareness. The research question for this study is to attitude, subjective norm, probability of audit, and licensed tax agent have a significant influence on sole proprietor taxpayer tax compliance intention behavior. And the second one is does that tax compliance intention have a significant influence on behavior? The research objective for this study is to determine the influence of attitude, subjective norm, probability of audits, and licensed tax agents on tax compliance intentions among sole proprietors taxpayers, and to determine the influence of intentions on tax compliance behavior among sole proprietors taxpayers. Okay, the framework here, the source of being used for this study is a theory of planned behavior developed by Eisen 1991, and there are five hypotheses being developed. The first one is the attitude is positively related to the intentions toward tax compliance behavior among sole proprietor taxpayer. Subjective norm is positively related to the intentions toward tax compliance behavior of sole proprietor. Hypothesis 3, probability of audit is positively related to the intentions toward tax compliance behavior among sole proprietors. Hypothesis 4, appointments of a licensed tax agent is positively related to the intentions toward tax compliance behavior among sole proprietors. And finally, hypothesis 5, intention is positively related to tax compliance behavior. The methodologies that we use here for this study is a quantitative research. Our primary data is from questionnaire being distributed to the respective respondent. The sampling size is that we collected 135 out of 382 individual business taxpayers in Penang. The data analysis techniques that we use is a descriptive analysis, reliability analysis, factor analysis, correlation analysis, multiple regression analysis, and the data were analyzed using a statistical package for social science SPSS. And on the findings, we'll focus on the result of the reliability and validity. Okay, for each of the 6 variables utilized in this investigation, the Kroba alpha coefficient was determined to the greatest value of 0.908 for the tax compliance behavior variable, and the lowest value is 0.652 for the intention variable, which exceed the recommended minimum values of 0.6 as suggested by Sekaran and Bogi 2013. Also, Hare, Blacks, Babin, Anderson, and Tatum 2006 exploratory studies of Korban alpha values exceeding 0.60 are acceptable. In order to establish whether the sample size is adequate or not, KMO-based validity analysis were also carried out. The KMO score for each construct was within the range of 0.654 to 0.813 with a single factor. All the constructs were discovered to have a KMO value greater than 0.5. And based on Hare 2006, these constructs are acceptable for further analysis. The items are intentions, attitude, subjective norm, probability of audit, licensed tax agent, and compliance behavior. The KMO highest for the subjective norm with a value of 0.813, and the intention construct, on the other hand, has the lowest KMO with 0.654. Okay, the next result is on the regression analysis. Okay, the p-value demonstrated that the dependent variables intentions to comply has been significantly affected by 3 independent variables: attitude, subjective norm, and licensed tax agent. This suggests that attitude, subjective norm, and license taxation all influence taxpayer intentions, compliance behavior. The remaining independent variables, the probability of audit, has no significant influence on the dependent variables, intention to comply. This suggests that the likelihood of an audit has no effect on sole proprietor taxpayer intentions to comply. This leads to the conclusions that the independent variables, attitude, subjective norm, and licensed tax agent have the most significant effects on the dependent variables intentions to comply. The p-value in the model 2 suggested that dependent variable tax compliance behavior reveal a positive and significant relationship with intentions to comply. Therefore, the variable intention to comply is significantly influenced by the dependent variable tax compliance behavior. This indicates that a taxpayer behavior with regards to the tax compliance is affected by their willingness to follow the law. Okay, the last part is on the discussion. Okay, the first objective is to determine the influence of attitude, subjective norm, probability of audits, and licensed tax agents on tax compliance intentions among sole proprietor taxpayer. Okay, the study result shows that individual taxpayers are likely to have an attitude that leads them to be in compliance with the tax law. Consequently, the TPB model proposed by Eisen 1991 is consistent with the attitude variable. Thus, the results of this study are compatible with the TPP, which reveals that changing attitude influence and individual intention. The objective has been achieved, and the result shows that among sole proprietor taxpayer, attitude and intentions to comply with the law are strongly positively correlated. This study examined the hypothesis that intentions to comply with tax law is positively correlated with the subjective norm. Tax intention to comply with tax law was found to have a strong relationship with the subjective norm. The relationship between the probability of audit and the intentions to comply with tax law has been met, and it has been demonstrated that there is an insignificant but positively related correlations between the probability of an audit and the intentions to comply with tax law among sole proprietor taxpayer. On the other hand, the appointment of the licensed tax agent demonstrates its strong importance, with each item having high range of means value. According to the result of this investigation, there is a strong correlation between the construct of licensed tax agents and their intention. In this study, it was found that intention was significant for tax compliance behavior. There's a high correlation between intentions and tax compliance behavior among sole proprietor taxpayer. Okay, that's all for today's presentation for our research paper. Thank you for the attention. Assalamualaikum.